Hello, my name is Jacob Foy, and today we're going to be doing a training video on the prompt hierarchy. In the first part of this training video, we will establish what a prompt is. In layman's terms, a prompt is a form of assistance given by the teacher before the learner attempts a new skill. Specifically, according to ChicagoABAtherapy.com, a prompt is a form of instructions, gestures, or demonstrations, or touches, or other things that we do or arrange to increase the likelihood that the child would make correct responses. These prompts are important because it will help assist the learner to learn new skills. Now, for the prompt hierarchy, there are a certain order of prompts from most intrusive, being at the bottom, to less intrusive, going closer to the top. And at the very top is an independent response from the client, which would be no prompts at all. And that would be the ideal goal for the teacher. The first and most intrusive prompt would be full physical prompt. Full physical prompts are physically guiding the learner's hand to complete a task thoroughly. It's also known as hand-over-hand prompts. And this is considered the most intrusive prompt. This is important for initially teaching a client a skill set or a skill if they do not have certain skill sets developed yet. The following video is an example of what a full physical prompt would look like.
Okay, now you write A. Good job. That's writing the letter A.
The next most intrusive on the prompt hierarchy would be partial physical prompting. Partial physical prompts are very similar to physical prompts, only that they're less intrusive in the way that instead of doing full hand over hand, you're simply lightly physically guiding their hand. An example of this would be instead of doing a full hand over hand prompt for writing, you're lightly guiding them with a gentle touch. This is important to slowly be less intrusive to be able to help the learner to be more independent. The following video will be an example of a partial physical prompt.
Okay, now you write B. Good job. That's writing B.
The next on the prompt hierarchy would be modeling prompts. Modeling prompts are when you demonstrate the target behavior that you want the client to learn. This is important to be even less intrusive than a physical prompt so that the learner can be more independent in their responding. An example of modeling prompt will be provided in the following video. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. This is clapping your hands. Clap your hands. That's clapping your hands. Good job. The next on the prompt hierarchy would be gestural prompts. Gestural prompts are a gesture or an action that the learner can observe from the instructor, such as pointing, reaching, or nodding, to give information about the correct response. Again, this is important for the learner to be even less intrusive than the previous modeling prompt. An example of gestural prompts will be provided in the following video. Touch the phone. Touch the phone. That's touching the phone. Good job. The second least intrusive prompt on the prompt hierarchy would be verbal prompts. A verbal prompt is a prompt telling the learner the answer or giving some kind of verbal cue. as a beginning sound, which would be a partial verbal prompt, or giving the whole cue, which would be a full verbal prompt. An example of a verbal prompt will be provided in the following video. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate a partial verbal and a full verbal prompt. What is it? What is it? Mark.
Balloon.
What is it? Marker. What is it?
Marker.
That's right, good job! The final and least intrusive prompt on the prompt hierarchy would be visual prompts. Finally, the least intrusive of all the prompts in the prompt hierarchy would be a visual prompt. A visual prompt is a prompt or a picture that acts as a cue to the student. When they see it, it provides information about the correct answer. This is to be considered the least intrusive prompt and is essential for transferring independence to the learner. An example will be provided in the following video. What says meow?
Cow.
What says meow?
Cat.
That's right, cat says meow. Finally, the end goal of the prompt hierarchy is to teach the student how to be independent with their responses. The goal of these prompts is to ultimately get the student just to be independent. Most to least prompting. In the prompt hierarchy, there's different directions that you can use to teach a client a new skill. Those two strategies are most to least prompting and least to most. And most to least prompting, you start from the most intrusive prompt and you make your way up to the least intrusive prompt. Most intrusive being full physical and the least intrusive being a visual prompt. Most to least prompting is good for teaching clients a new skill if they don't necessarily have precursor skill sets for the new learned skill. And least to most prompting, you start with the least intrusive prompt and make your way down to the most intrusive prompt. This is good for maintaining a newly learned skill when you want to try to be less intrusive as possible, but you don't necessarily want to be very intrusive, but if need be, you have the option to. When using the prompt hierarchy to teach a new skill to a client, it is necessary for the teacher or the therapist to keep prompt dependency in mind. Prompt dependency is when a student is dependent on prompts given by the teacher or the therapist. This is a danger to the student being able to be independent with this new skill that they are being taught. If the client becomes prompt dependent, it would be advised to consult with the lead BCBA and the next steps to take. In this training video, we talked about what a prompt is, why they are important, the different types of prompts within the prompt hierarchy, and examples of each, the difference between most to least prompting and least to most prompting, and the dangers of prompt dependency. It's essential to understand when to use a prompt and when not to use a certain level of prompt. I hope that you find this training video helpful, and best of luck to you.